Thanks for joining the show tonight. I'm getting started right away because we might have a little longer show. We got a lot to go over. It's time for Nationals, the most wonderful time of the year. Okay, yeah, I'm keep my day job. But yeah, we're going to talk about Nationals. We're going to go over all the teams in the 8 versus 8 division this week. Talk about who's playing and talk about the lineup and where everybody is. But first, we're going to start off by bringing in my man Zeric Foster, who is the director of Nationals. He is the national director. You all may know him or not, but I want to introduce you to him. And we're going to talk a lot about the rules and what to expect in Nationals this year. We've got some changes in the rules too, so very important that you may listen up. Got some things that can affect your gameplay that you definitely need to know about. So thanks for joining, and like I said, once again, we'll have Zeric joining in here in a second. Get that internet connection rolling smoothly. But hey, Mark Nations, thanks for joining in. All right, we got a couple of USFTL directors on here as well. Love having you guys joining in to hear us talk about the women, and as well as Nationals this year. Let's see. So we're still getting a little delay trying to add Zeric. And it failed. So Z, try to invite yourself one more time, and let's try it again. You know, Zeric might have one of them. Might have an Android. You know, it's an iPhone world. All right, so we're gonna try it again. So as you guys know, we have registration over with now for Nationals. So we've got the teams all in place. Everybody's ready to go. I hope everybody did register in time, because once registration is cut off, which it is, we are not adding any more teams. We're looking to have a historic amount of teams out in Sarasota this year. So expect a great tournament. There he is, Mr. Foster himself. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. So guys, let me go ahead and introduce to you Zeric Foster, USFTL National Director of Officials. He's going to see. He was kind enough to take time out of his busy schedule and talk to us about some of the rules that you may know and you may not know, because we had some rule changes this year. But Zeric, before you get into the rules, can you give just a small, short, brief discussion about who you are and what you do and how long you've been doing it? Just real, I know a lot of people know you, but some people don't out on the West Coast and some other areas. So I want to make sure everybody knows who you are and what you do.
Thank you, Norm. Zeric Foster, native of Atlanta. If I could just simply put, I'm a servant to the game, and I try to do that by way of quality officiating, and more importantly, being a conduit from the people that are playing on a regular basis, taking their input and taking it to Mr. Mike Sion and Charlie Malta to see if we can find a common ground on playing rule that's neither side gets an advantage or disadvantage, but more importantly, it's safe. So if I can say it that way, man, I'm simply a servant. You know me, I kind of like to stay behind the scenes as much as possible.
Yes, you do, and I understand that. So that's why I thank you so much for coming on the show. I really think it's important for people to hear a lot of the things that you talk about, a lot of your knowledge, and some of the things that's going to be going on this year at Nationals. So go ahead, let's start. Let's just go ahead and break it down to the rules. So let's start off with a couple of rule changes or some things that are new this year for Nationals that weren't in place last year for Nationals.
Right, and if I can just, Norm, this is your show, so if I can just say, in all due respect, instead of rules changes, just say updates to rules that's fitting for a national organization and tournament. Is that fair to say?
That is very fair to say. I like the way you worded it.
All right. So if I can get started, first and foremost, you and I both are directors, and we got a lot of Hall of Famers, etc., that are on this line, and I see them popping up now. So it's my pleasure to be able to talk to them and discuss some things proactively before the Nationals. And I want to also say, regarding the things that we're discussing tonight, if you hear anything different for some styles, and we'll particularly talk about the 8 on 8 contact styles, but there'll be a couple of things that will be across the board. You should stop and get a director, get clarity, and make sure moving forward is going along as we're stating it right now. All right, so the very first thing is, if I don't thank Mike Sion and Charlie Malta for allowing me this opportunity, and all of you, then I'll be remiss, but I want to thank them. the most important thing is the level of safety that we want to discuss and how that should go about officiating. So we've saw it in the NFL. It's actually from the NFL all the way down to Pop Warner. And the very first thing was just talk about player safety.
Yes.
And particularly blindside blocks by rule.
Right.
So a blindside block by rule is illegal. And all it simply means is the defender is defenseless, or the person you're blocking is defenseless, and they can't see you. Them not being able to see you doesn't mean that the block is legal. It means if they can't see you and the manner of the block is forceful, then it could be considered a blindside block. So for all of you that are out there that hustle down to help your teammates and block, if they can't see you, you want to use open extended hands, and more than likely you'll be able to get away with that block without incurring a penalty. But we will be looking for it as a point of emphasis. And so it's something that we want to make sure everybody's aware of. But more importantly, everybody gets to go home. And if something happens, if it's just a freak injury, I'm okay with that. But blindside blocks are a point of emphasis. I want to make sure everybody's aware. And I'll be more than happy to go into discussion and demonstration for anyone at any time to see some of the triggers that we look for as we're officiating.
Great.
All right. All right. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, and not in particular order, I hope all of you, and I hope some officials on the line, there are 4 things that I would like for all of you to hold the officials accountable for. And if they are not to a level where we believe comfortable or progressively getting better, I would like to know about it. And I definitely want you guys to report it some form, shape, or fashion. So the first one is professionalism. We expect all officials to be professional,
Yes, sir.
regardless of the manner of the game. The second one is rules knowledge. They should know the rules. Now, officials come from all over. There's different regions have certain rules they call certain ways, even the interpretation. And there's going to be some times where that's in question. So I'm hopeful that during the game or after the game, you guys can contact the director and get clarity. And I should be available for any additional calls or discussions during the Nationals or prior to the Nationals. The third one is obviously mechanics, and that's just simply if there's a timeout is signal. If there's a first down, the first down is signal. A down is indicated, and the line of game is indicated. These are things that we should be doing efficiently and effectively so you can help manage your game and you know exactly what's going on. And then the last one is just being in position. You guys have been here, officials, in quite a few occasions, and I hate to say it this way, but it's just absolutely true. Don't service the game or you all properly by not being in position. So I get a judgment call. I get a difference of opinion on the judgment call. I do not get nor accept not being in position to make that judgment call. So those 4 things I'm hoping that all hold everyone accountable for. So with that being said, let's just get into what Norm really wants to talk about. These rule updates that should affect, hopefully it should be some things you guys take to your practice. It definitely will affect some games. So I'm just going to go over them very briefly, and then you should get a write-up by way of me through Norm as a review. All right, the very first thing is overtime. Last year in the USFTL rule book, and it's still in the rule book, if you got to overtime, it was just simply extra point try for 1, 2, or 3. There was no kicking, and we continued doing that until we got a winner. This year, it is 4 downs for each person, so everybody gets a try. Yes. 4 downs. You get 1 timeout for the durability of the overtime. This is for non-championship games. So 4 downs, just like it used to be from the 20 or whatever relevant yard line it is to start into the goal line for your style. After the first overtime session, meaning everybody's got a possession, it's alternating extra point tries, 1, 2, or 3, depending on the style you're playing, and you can still kick until we get a winner. This is for non-championship games. If it's for the championship game and the championship game only, we will go to sudden death overtime. And the easiest way to explain it is it's just like the NFL with one exception. The exception is every team gets a possession. So if the first team scores a touchdown, the other team has a chance to match it. Similar to the Falcons losing in the Super Bowl against the Pats. Norm, I had to do that. Right? I just thought I'd wake you up a little bit. In this case, if the Falcons scored Pat scored a touchdown, then the Falcons will have a chance to match and score a touchdown. If they do not score a touchdown, then the game will be over. If they do score a touchdown in the subsequent extra point, so it's just say it, for lack of better terms, it's 7-7. Now it's true sudden death. The very next person that scores is the winner by field goal, safety, etc.
Right.
Also in overtime, everything is live. So if they're going from the 20-yard line on the non-championship overtimes, if there's an interception, it can be returned for a score, etc., etc. All right.
Right.
This will be
And that
written
and
up
that
for
score,
everyone
if
to
I can,
have.
and if I can say, I'm sorry, that score is for 6 points because they were going for 6 points. Is that correct? It wasn't for an extra point because it's going
That's
for 6
correct.
points. Okay.
So you always get what you're going for. So if you're
Right.
going for 1, it's 1. If you're going for 6, it's exactly, you're exactly right on that, Norm. So that should change the strategy for some of you guys. I know in certain regions it was mentioned. I don't know if it was carried on to your league. I know in certain parts it was, but I want to be clear. This is you're hearing it from the person who will make the final decision on it, and it's been cleared by Mr. Mike Fionn and Charlie Malta themselves. We re-verified earlier today just to make sure we're all on the same page. This is the rule going forward. So look for some addendums to the rule regarding that matter.
Okay, before you go
These,
on, if I can jump
yeah,
in just 1 second. First of all, I want to say, Nicole Peoples out of Chicago, he did answer your question about kicking in overtime. I want to make sure you did hear that, and thanks for asking the question. I also want to state that Zeric is letting you know that he's available for anything for problems with the rules, but you guys all know to come see me first. I'll be the person to call Zeric. We don't need a lot of coaches calling Zeric. Come see me first. Call me first. I'll probably have 4 fields, and if they're not right next to each other, you guys will have my phone number, and we'll be able to contact me if you don't already have it. And we'll resolve issues as quickly as possible. But when I say, I'm sorry, Zeric, I know this is your time, but I want everybody to be clear about this. Just as well as the officials have an obligation to know the rules, coaches, players, you need to get your nose in the rule books as well, because you guys are out there yelling and fussing and arguing about a call that was made. And the bottom line is you don't know the rules yourself. You're not in the rule book. And I know a lot of y'all, because y'all call me, Norman, I don't got my rule book. Is this in the rule? And I don't mind telling you, but I need you guys to get into the rule book. Get into the rule book. And on the app, I will have posted a caption of the rules. And at any time up to the tournament, if you don't have a book, you can ask me about it. Miko, the rules are not 100% updated, and that's why Zeric is here, the present rule book. That's why Zeric is here to tell you about the updates that are in the rule book. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and let Zeric go on. I don't want to drag it out. We'll talk more about how we handle game issues with me a little bit later. Go ahead, sir.
right. Thank you. While you're on that point, we're updating the rules. And Norm, also, there are quite a few coaches and players just by default of playing the game that know the rules very well. It comes down to interpretation and application of said rule.
Thank
All
you,
right,
sir.
fair enough.
Thank you.
But also in the rule book, there are a few discrepancies. What this simply means, it reads that you can do something in one area, and then further along, it's a contradiction. And we are very aware, and we are addressing those, so to speak. But so the reason I made myself available for any and all calls, and I'll make sure you please share my contact info and my USFTL email,
Yes,
because
sir.
I want to give you clarity moving forward on exactly what the rule is. All right. So with that being said, one of the other ones is, and this is an update to the actual rule, downfield blocking. What that simply means, rules in the rule book, that a team cannot block downfield on a pass, a forward pass, right? What it should read is a team can't block downfield on a legal forward pass. Legal being defined as a pass beyond the line of scrimmage. So if there's a forward pass to a receiver, like a screen behind the line of scrimmage or a shuttle, any and everyone is able to block downfield because it's not a legal forward pass to it crosses the line of scrimmage. Now, I know a lot of people that know this, but it's been brought to my attention on several cases stating in the rule, but it's not allowed. It is a miss of one word, and that's being legal forward pass. So I just want to update. You can block downfield on a forward pass, but the receiver must be behind the line of scrimmage when they possess the ball. All right.
Thank you. Thanks for
So,
clearing that up.
so those slip screens, tunnel screens, shuttle passes, those are all legal as long as they're behind the line of scrimmage if you have people downfield blocking. All right.
Right.
Okay. The next thing is, and this is relevant for most people, a lot of people, particularly the contact styles. On a missed field goal, Norm, inside the 20, we understand everywhere in football that the ball goes to the 20-yard line immediately. Well, this is a tackle football rule because regardless of where it goes, it's 1st and 10. Since it's lined the games, the update to the rule is the now offensive team in possession. So they played great defense. The kicking team missed the field goal. Let's just use the 18-yard line, for example. The offense team now will have a choice. They can take the ball at the original line of scrimmage, which is the 18-yard line. They can take the ball we'll make it 1st and 2. They can take the ball at the 20, or they can take the ball at the spot of the kick where it was placed. So they have 3 choices inside the 20. If they're outside the 20, they have 2 choices. It would be the line of scrimmage or the placement. So we should illustrate this by way of diagram and further explanation. And the reason being, Norm, we're not punishing the defense, making them go 1st and 20 when they block their kick or
Right.
offensive team missed the field goal. Is that fair enough? You understand that?
Right.
All right.
Very clear.
Any questions on that,
Very
Norm?
good. It's a good rule. It's a real update. No, none at all.
Right.
None at all. Good update.
Okay. And then the last thing, and this may be relevant, I want everyone to listen to this because I don't want a play to go on. We had a case 2 years ago where there was a protest requested and it was not allowed by an official, a great official to be exact, but I want you guys to understand how we go about protesting. First and foremost, a judgment call cannot be protested. So whether he was in bounds or she was in bounds or out of bounds, whether it was a catch or there wasn't an offsides or whatever you believe that is subject to judgment cannot be protested. However, rule interpretation, application, player eligibility can be protested. And the way that gets protested is you simply call timeout and stop the game. You come with $50 and hand it to the official, noting your protest clearly, what you're protesting. You said flag guarding was 10 yards. You marked off 5 or 15, or you said it was 5, or whatever discrepancy may be. You want to make sure you get that in for the very next play. If a referee tells you that you cannot file a protest on a protestable item, meaning rule application, the application of said rule, an interpretation of the rule, what that means is blocking downfield. I consider blocking downfield, anybody blocking downfield, whatever it may be. If it's an interpretation, you can protest and get clarity from the director or myself. Charlie Malta will also be available, so hopefully we'll have all those people there for you to ask questions of. But and then obviously player eligibility is something that you can protest. Nothing else you'll be able to protest in the matter of as it pertains to the continuation of that game. If it's a matter of the score after the game, where or whatever it may be, you felt like you in a pool play format and the score was wrong, that's not a matter of protest. That's a matter of taking items to the tent or your director and verifying with said officials the game card of the said score. But I don't think that's something you have to pay $50 for. It's just a review of administrative items. All right. On the field goal, you get a choice of line screen placement or kick with 20 yards as well. On the field goal, I think, Dawn, can you answer Glenn? Because if you can see that.
Yeah. Glenn is saying on the field goal, you get choice of line of scrimmage or placement of the kick in the 20 yards as well. And yes, you get choice of the line of scrimmage where they kicked from. If it's like Zeric used the example of the 18, that's where they kicked from. So you get a choice of the 18, or you get a choice of the 20, or the third choice, if I'm not correct, where they put the ball down where they kicked it from at. Is that correct, Zeric? Which is usually about 7 yards away from the line of scrimmage. So it can be like the 25.
Right. So Glenn's exactly right. The line of scrimmage. Right. And Norm, if you can, you got time. If you can write down these questions in lieu of the show and everybody, and moving forward, we can actually go forward with an explanation, so some addendums so people can review, and then add on to as they practice and prepare for the nationals. So I want to make sure we get them all. All right. And then just clear on the protest, everyone, $50. Some of the great coaches, I can name a few, they keep $50 in their pocket. Right. They're ready. And the
Exactly.
reason it's important, by the growth of the tournament and the different styles and officials coming from other areas, it's very possible that there may be some rule discrepancies on interpretation and application. If it's anything other than what you guys know to be true, especially if you had a discussion with me, Norm, and some of the other directors, and they're not available, I suggest, particularly if you know you're in the ballpark, you're right, take the time out, spend the $50, and let's go ahead and make sure we move forward in a fair manner by the rule not being misapplied that affects your game or misinterpreted. So that's important for you guys to know. I want you to feel very comfortable about doing that. Glenn's funny now. All right.
Glenn is crazy.
Now, there's a couple of things that you guys need to know about. We talked about the blindside box. All right. This won't go in writing verbatim, but it's going to be a point of emphasis, and we'll be looking to enforce it as the tournament progresses, and we're doing this for a couple of reasons. This is talk about 8-man contact or 8-woman contact, or mostly all styles that involve full field. Only 4 coaches total and 1 coach are allowed to address the ref on a regular basis. So if there's a discrepancy on the call, let's use your captain. So 2 on each side of the ball, 2 on offense, 2 on defense, and a designated coach. We're doing this so we can get you answers. We're not getting bombarded and the game's been disrupted by multiple people. These people should have more leeway to discuss said call and get a clarification on consistency and judgment, or maybe even just a shortcut to a rule so they can go on and tell their players. But these are the people that will be instructed to listen to. So during the coin toss, you should designate who your captains are. And these are the only people that should be talking to officials about calls, judgment, consistency, explanations, etc. If it becomes excessive, you'll start seeing flags for warnings and then unsportsmanlikes for any individual running up to the ref, arguing a call. What's really happening is delaying is disrupting the rhythm of the game. So we much rather have captains, more than likely teams have designated to have discussions, and more than likely the captains are coming in a manner of respect, and we're hoping that the officials are respectful as well. Now, if that's not happening, I definitely want to know about that, because there's absolutely no tolerance for unprofessionalism. So that's one thing, Norm.
Exactly.
The second thing is, more than likely on your field, there will be a restraining area. Similar, if you're playing on a turf field, you see from the 25 to the 25, there's a 2-yard box. It's the coach's box. We'll call it that. The only person allowed in there are the coaches. Everyone else, the players, should be behind the restraining line. Is it the Nationals? Would it be people filtering in and out of there? Yes. It's a mechanism for us to allow officials the area to get the sideline, to get the proper call, to move up and down the field efficiently without running into players and coaches so they can get to their position. Because of the sideline you can't get to their position, we need to do something about it. Now, I've been instructed to enforce that strictly, but I'm telling you guys, we're going to spoon feed this, and we're hoping that if the coaches and the captains will help keep people back out of the way, then that will help us be able to allow the officials to move up and down the field efficiently. Hopefully, it'll improve. Now, there'll be fans in the coach's box. There'll be some situations that are out of your control. Do the best you can. Allow us to assist you. Will it be 100% no? But it'd be something we should be looking forward to move so we can have the proper areas to officiate the game. So if you see that and hear officials giving you instruction, don't be surprised. For you all, it won't be from the 25 to the 25, it'll be from the 20 to the 20. So the myth of one coach allowed to go down to the goal line, that is absolutely a myth. That's not a rule, right? Stay inside the coach's box, please. Now, you'll get to a field where a referee allow you to do it. I say if he does, embellish it. Don't abuse it, right? But by rule, you're not allowed to. There's nothing that I'm going to scream about. I just ask if that's allowed. You guys manage your team properly. But I do know some refs allow that. I'm not going to push back against that too much for the national tournament. But I will hope you guys help manage your sidelines better. And then fans and supporters, we'll do the best we can with them. All right. And then one more, Norm. So you've heard me talk about this. Well, 2 more. I've talked about rules, myths.
Give it a second.
Right? What people think the
connection is kind of choppy to you. Give me a second.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, we got a little choppy connection. All right, there we go. We better. All right, go ahead back into it, Z.
Okay. I've done it for one of the great leagues that I've been a part of with Mashonda Gilmore, Michelle Fernandez, the Women's League here in Atlanta. There are a lot of myths out about rules, and a lot of times by there being myths, meaning you don't actually know the rule. And it's not just players. It's not just players and coaches. I've seen on a couple
Referees too.
occasions some officials, right? Right?
Exactly.
No, I can be honest about that.
Right.
But I ask that instead of guessing or what you see on Sunday, I ask that you actually have a discussion prior to about clarity of a lot of rules. Okay, so one being, Norm, I'll ask you, can two people be in motion at the same time prior to the snap?
And that question is so broad. So the answer is yes. That's a broad question, but
Okay,
usually when somebody asks that question, that's not what they're asking. So that's a good example. So go ahead
right.
and explain what they're really asking.
They just want to know if two people can be in motion. They yell out, two people can't be in motion. Two people in motion prior to the snap is called a shift. That just simply
Exactly.
means everyone must come set. Everyone must come set for full second before the ball is snapped. The second is
Right.
judgmental, right? It can be a half second to some refs and
Right.
their clock in their head. It can be a second. But what happens is um, it disrupts the game. People get beside themselves. They feel like the ref don't know the rules. Someone cheating. The defense stops because they think a penalty comes and maybe a big play happened. So we want to remove some of the myths. Another one is you can't call timeouts back to back. That is a myth. That's only in the NFL. You can call timeouts as you have them, back to back. You can call all three of them if you have them. And then the third one would be the lineman can't move. Let's just talk about 8-woman eligible. Is the lineman a receiver? Yes. Can she
Yes.
move?
Yes.
She can move. Let me tell you what happens. This is for 9-man, 8-man, everybody. Movement is one thing. Judgmental if it's simulating the start of a play. So what we want to talk
There
about
we
is
go.
that movement simulating the start of a play. So when you guys look at Thursday night football tomorrow, the NFL, which I'm boycotting, by the way, Norm. So, I know you like your Falcons. I love them too, but I'm boycotting. You will see quite a bit of movement from the lineman, but you will only see a penalty if the lineman simulates the start of a play, like they're backing up pass block or they're going forward or flinching like they're about to start to run block. Little ticky-tack movement is judgment by the officials, but there's no rule saying they can't move. There's a rule saying they can't simulate the start of a play, right?
Right.
Why I'm mentioning that, because there have been cases where a defense will stop and point and say they're moving. The cornerback stops, a receiver runs downfield, touchdown. In
Mm-hmm.
other words, I wouldn't be so eager to stop in the middle of a play. I get an explanation from the line judge asking, is that simulated start of a play, or can you watch that? That's drawing my defense, or I feel like they're getting an advantage. One of the ways you can talk to the official, but more importantly, I don't want that to decide the game, because people think that simulated start of play where the official is allow a little movement here and there. In most cases, they get movement because it could be simulated start of a play, but the offensive line people can move. I just want to make sure we get that. They just can't move in a manner that simulates the start of a play. Is that clear?
And that's clear. And also, Zeric, you made a good point, and I want to make sure everyone understood what he was saying. He gave you an example of how to ask the question to the official. And that's when it comes to learning the rules, because like you say, oh, well, two people moved at the same time. Ref, you didn't see them two people move at the same time? You're asking the wrong question. So you got to understand how to ask the question to get the answer to your question, or you're going to get an answer that you don't think that either the ref doesn't know what he's talking about, or whatever you come to the conclusion is because you're asking the question improperly, and he's going to answer the question that you ask him in most cases. So you have to ask the question in accordance to what the rule is for the violation that you think you saw.
Right. That's a great point. Now, there's two people in the Atlanta League, and obviously, our brothers in D.C., they know the rules quite well, but two people in the Atlanta League that ask great questions. One would be the coach of Youngbloods, which is Dennis Montgomery Sr., and then the other one would be Phil Armstrong, one of the captains of Red Rum. They come and ask a ton of questions for Zeric, is two people allowed to go in motion? They ask a question like that. When would they have to get set? So what they're doing is finding out the parameters of said rule. And if there's a question or something in question, they'll point to an instance where it wasn't enforced that way. Now we have something constructive to talk about as opposed to arguing a call, right?
Right.
Let's get Matrix, Brother Matrix, he has a question there. I want to answer that.
Yes, please do. I wanted to answer too.
Right.
But let's make sure we
Okay.
understand what he's asking, because what he's asking, the way he asked it
Good.
is kind of. Go ahead, I'll let you answer it.
Right. So the Matrix, our good brother out of North Carolina, wants to know, what about late whistles? Say it happens too often. The whole place happens, then the ref blows a whistle after the results of the play is taking place. All right. So late whistles are a officiating technique that we use when we're not sure. And I'll give you an example. A late whistle regarding if a flag was pulled with a ball carrier in a pile, if the flag was actually broken, or etc. Right? And we do that because you don't want to have an inadvertent whistle. The only thing we can't fix is an inadvertent whistle. So I'd rather it to be late, right? Meaning there was a flag pulled 3 or 4 yards ago. We wasn't sure. There was a crowd of people. There was a lot of blockers going on during the screen. We saw that it was clearly pulled. We'll blow the whistle now because we know the ball carrier was properly deflagged.
Right.
That's important for us to be able to move forward doing, and I encourage late whistles to that regard. I don't think they should happen that often, but in that regard, I think it's a technique to make sure we're not calling touchdown backs or we're stopping a live play inadvertently because the ball carrier wasn't properly deflagged.
Good
So I agree they may happen too often, but I'd rather have that as opposed to an inadvertent whistle. Everything else we can fix but that. Blowing
Right.
it dead when it shouldn't be dead.
Right.
All right. No, Glenn, if you have a declared punt, you must be at least 5 yards back on the snap. You can't take it directly. All right. And then Phil, regarding guiding the blocker is enforced just like flag guarding. So if you are intentionally, and it's still judgment, pushing your blocker in way of a defender, that's considered guiding the blocker is enforced just like flag guarding from the spot of the foul and loss of down. And I would love to, I know there's going to be a ton of questions. Norm, make sure we get all of these, and I will answer them personally in response, in a written response with explanation referring to the rule, so everyone will have them. And then Norm, the last thing that I have, and then I'll take any and all questions, of course. This is a great event. I know a lot of people work hard for it. I want you to feel very comfortable in a respectful manner about holding the officials accountable. And I want you to frequently, if you can, bring anything regarding professionalism, rules, knowledge, mechanics, and positioning to me or the directors so we can deal with it effectively, hoping throughout the tournament you guys will get a better product with the officials providing that service. I don't want you to be shy. I don't want you to feel like you have to argue with the officials if any four of those things are not happening. Judgment, consistency of calls. Some officials just not nice. I get most times when you guys are told to back up and get on side, that is a courtesy. They don't have to tell you that. It's your job to line up on side. But I expect a good official who's working in a professional manner to give you that courtesy and you guys to respond. Rest doesn't blow Wilson to the play. Astonishing. Okay, Matrix, that's a great question. So Matrix asking, a ref doesn't blow the whistle to acknowledge a timeout until the play has started. The whistle is only an indicator to stop the play because the timeout started. But the true mechanic is once the timeout is acknowledged, it's acknowledged. So let's give you an example. Norm calls timeout from the sideline. I try to blow my whistle, it falls out my mouth. My mechanic says Norm called timeout. I blow my whistle, I stop the clock. If my whistle slips out and you don't hear it, or I'm just slow and you already snapped the ball, only thing that matters is if the referee acknowledged the timeout prior to the start of the play. So you can, in some cases, hear the whistle later. You yell timeout in my ear, timeout, blow the whistle, the play could have started, but it matters that the referee acknowledged it. The whistle It's not an acknowledgement. It's him hearing it and going through starting his mechanic.
Right.
All right.
Good question. I mean,
All
good
right.
answer. Good answer.
So, Norm, I don't know how much time you call. I think we can take some questions or any. I think you have them rolling in.
Right.
Um,
So what we'll do is, Zeric, we'll keep you on the line. Just
okay.
to get a couple of more questions popped in as I go into the women's divisions. The
Okay.
most exciting part about the entire tournament is the women's divisions. This is what everybody comes to Sarasota for. The men they get to see whenever. It's all about the women. So we're gonna talk about the 8-on-8 women's divisions and the teams that are participating this year. But also, I want to put this out real quick so everybody knows. The Women's Flag Football Network app will be fully updated and keep updated information in it at all times for the women. Download the app, and I'm going to tell you how to subscribe because I will only be sending messages through the app through individuals that are subscribed to a certain section of the app for notifications. I'm going to tell you guys how to do that, and I'll also email the coaches that are on my distribution list so they can tell players as well. So if you want to be able to get all the updates during the tournament, I'm going to let you know how to subscribe during the tournament to get everything that's going on. We'll do that later on the show. But right now, we're going to talk about the two divisions we got in the 8-on-8 for the ladies. We got A division. We got B division. We're going to start with the A division. So we got it all about the A. We're going to start off with Black Mambas, Bama, Dog Sports Ladies, TCFF, DC Dreamcatchers, Junkyard Divas, and Knockout. I'm going to stop right there. Bama, out of Alabama, won the 2017 Fallen Warriors. Just passed that here in Atlanta. Awesome team. Black Mambas, back-to-back champions of the USFTL. Dog Sports Ladies, coming straight out of Toronto. Coach Kevin put these ladies together and keeping up in the A division. I like what he's doing. He's coming after strong ladies. He's got something for you. DC Dreamcatchers, they won, I believe, the spring season for the DC Eli championship. Junkyard Divas, they won Mixing Bowl last year in DC. One of the first teams that's not from DC to win the Mixing Bowl in the history of the DC tournaments. And Knockout, straight out of Atlanta, won several league championships here in Atlanta. All right, let's go down to the last 5 of the A division. We got Lady All Met, Lady Cougars, Lady Elite, Most Wanted, and Reloaded. Let's go with Lady All Met. Lady All Met been doing it forever. We got Coach Dante out there. We're going to be missing Tamika this year. Tamika can't make it. But Coach Dante's out there. We got Odessa. I'm sorry, I can't call her Odessa, can I? Dee Phillips acting as the team captain. And looking forward to seeing them ladies there. Lady Cougars. Donna Smith. What's up, lady? Lady Cougars will be out there. Lady Elite. Might I add, they are the champions of the Women's International Tournament of Champions 2017. They will be out there. #1 seeded Lady Elite at that. We got Most Wanted, Tim Jacobs. Shout out. What's up? Tim Jacobs let me know that he's coming to Vegas. Tim Jacobs and Most Wanted are out there. And the #2 seed in the 8 versus 8 A division, Reloaded, coming from Atlanta. Reload is coming hard and they're coming strong. So look forward to some good games with them this year. And that's your A team. We got your A division. We got 11 teams kicking it off in the A division. It's going to be challenging from start to finish. We're going to have some good games. Now let's switch over real quick. I didn't see any questions pop up, so I'm going to go ahead and switch over real quick to the B division. Bad as can be. We're going to start off with the Atlanta Lady Tigers, straight out of Atlanta, up-and-coming team. Coach Corey Milton pushing those ladies. They're going to be looking good out there. They're going to shock some people. Bahamas All-Stars. It's the only team I don't have any knowledge on. I know they've been playing, but they're bringing an all-star team from out of their league, so they got a combination of players. Let's keep an eye out for them. Come check them out. They're coming all the way from the Bahamas. Bama's Finest coming out of Alabama. That's a slight all-star team. I know they got the Wolfpack mixed up in there. They got a couple other teams mixed up in there. So they put together a little all-star team, and they plan on doing some damage here. We got Ray coming out of Alabama coaching that team. Capital Punishment, Mr. Glenn Bell, Coach Glenn Bell, bringing his squad out here. What they come in second place a couple times, second place 2 years ago, and I think third last year. They're coming to get that championship. Cayman Islands won it 2 years ago. They're coming back. Maggie, how you doing? Good. Glad you guys are making it. Chicago Ball Hawks. Edward Lewis bringing his squad. Lucius, I'm sorry, bringing his squad. They're gonna do some damage. Chicago Force. I gotta pause with Chicago Force because that's probably the most entertaining team that's coming down to nationals. You know, they come with their theme music, they jamming and dancing, and other things on the field when they come out there. But they're very entertaining, and actually they're very good. They came in second place on their first time ever making it to the tournament 2 years ago. DMV Seminoles. We got Coach Tolson out there bringing those young ladies from the DMV area. They're coming in to make a splash. Game Changers. Game Changers got some surprises for you guys. This ain't the Game Changers of old. So come check the Game Changers out. We got some surprises for you guys with Game Changers. Light and Tight. I got to pause there. I got my start with Light and Tight. That's my heart. They got my heart. I love those ladies. And they got some surprises for you. They're coming strong with a strong team. They just won the Lynn Lewis tournament here in Atlanta, and they're coming down to make some waves in Florida. Showtime. Very exciting team out of Atlanta. Looking forward to seeing them put on the show. Lady Dominators took second place in the B division last year. What's up, Jill? They're coming out there to make a show. Untouchables. Guys, watch out for the Untouchables. Matter of fact, we've already had a prediction out there in North Carolina. The Untouchables going to take the B division. So they're coming. These ladies are coming stacked. And then we're going to finish it off with the Virginia Vixens. We got Coach Aaron bringing his team down there to do some damage. The B division is stacked tight. There are going to be some great games from start to finish going on in the B division. All this information is going to be updated on the app. All this information is going to be updated on the Women's Flag Football Network page. Now, let me tell you how to stay updated on the app. First of all, you got to download it if you haven't downloaded it. Simply go to the notifications section from the menu to the left, or in the upper right corner, you have a mailbox or a slot box, that symbol. That's for notifications. Click on that, and then click the settings button in the upper right corner and select 2017 Nationals. What that does is that'll subscribe you to receive all updates during the Nationals. Some things I may be sending to everybody in the country, but the constant messages that I'm sending out will only go to that subscribed group. So make sure you subscribe to that group. We won't be doing text messages to everybody this year. I'm not going to be blowing up the text messages. I'm going to be sending everything through the app. So download the Women's Flag Football Network app from out of the mobile store for whatever you have, Android or iPhone, so the iOS. Get the app. You'll get all the information. All right. Did we get any questions while I was talking, Z?
We did. One I felt was important. If I don't say hello to Cato and Brother Reek, some of my good friends, and also my boy Goof out in Sacramento, I got to say hello. But there's one question that Coach Glenn Bell asked. I think it's a great question. It's never discussed, but I'll discuss it. He asked if the officials could move the pucks more efficiently when time's a factor. That's not the question verbatim, but that's the gist of the question. So you guys know, whenever there's a line judge, meaning someone on the side that's responsible for offsides, onside, legal formation, etc., the puck is just a reference. Is not the line of scrimmage. The line judge is the line of scrimmage, with the neutral zone being defined as one end of the ball to the other. That's the width or the length of the neutral zone. Right. So the puck is just a reference. So an example would be if you're in a hurry up, someone's kicking the puck around, we can't get it. Once the line judge is established and the referee, which is the white hat, makes acknowledgement there's a legal play, it doesn't matter about the puck. The puck is only a reference of the spot of the ball. It can be off a little bit, said inch here or there. The line judge has established the line of scrimmage, with the neutral zone again being the furthest point on each side of the ball. So Glenn, to answer your question, I would discuss with officials that you may have a hurry up going on. You may have a few things you want to make them aware of. All of them should have ball markers or spotters or pucks. But if the puck is not set, that shouldn't deter you from being able to start a play if the referee has blown the play in, particularly
Right.
if the puck gets kicked away and is holding up your offense. The back judge is set, the referee is set, and the line judge is set. You should be able to play if the play's blown in, ready to play. So I would discuss it with each crew to make sure that maybe you have a hurry up or that you have a 2-minute offense or whatever it may be to make them very aware of what I just discussed with you. All right. The
Good
puck is
job.
only in reference.
And I think a good idea, coaches, would be to let your center know, find the line judge and line up off the line judge. And then you can immediately have your receivers and everybody else hold their hand out and check, am I on line? I mean, am I set? Are we good? Right then and there, regardless of where the puck is. All right. So get your centers in the habit of finding a line judge and getting set. And usually, Glenn, I'd like to hope that when the referees see you rushing, they're gonna hustle up a little bit too, to make it a little bit more smoother. But like Zeric said, talk about it at pregame. Guys, don't let the officials be the only ones talking in the pregame. And then you got a lot to say during the game. Bring up your concerns on the pregame. That's what it's there for. And hopefully you can knock some of the things out that may cause issues during the game. So use your pregame for everybody and not just the officials to tell you what's going on.
And
All right,
that's a great question.
Anything else? Yes.
I don't, but I just want to make sure that we address it. It's something that I think we have to improve on, get further discussion, training, but it's a mechanic that we should be working to get better, because I do believe it disrupts the flow of the game, but also believe if the officials are moving efficiently, they can enhance the game. So I'll make sure I mention it in my refs meeting.
Good deal, good deal. And, I want to say something. That's not a cop-out, but I think it does need to be said. We don't have any full-time officials officiating at the Nationals. In other words, it's not their full-time job to officiate. So they're going to make mistakes. We have things in place to handle those mistakes using the protests and other things, but they're going to make mistakes. So let's keep our cool. Let's keep our heads. Let's talk respectfully and responsibly to the officials, but understand that they may make a mistake and move on.
Right.
And move on from that. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read at the same time. I see about 3 or 4 questions jumping around there. I hope you got them, Zeric.
Yeah. Right. There's one. Well, I've seen it on several occasions. Let's talk about a team in Atlanta moving silence. They have a couple of unique formations, one being taking the center and moving him as far as to the sidelines they can. Well, the rule is they can only go to the hash. If there's not a hash on the field, then the referees, per their judgment, have designated hashes. And in most cases, there will be cones saying this is the hash. Now, where the hash is 10 yards from the sideline, 13 yards, 15 yards, I would suggest if you have that formation, you discuss with each crew when you get there where your hashes, so you can legally set up and move on. We had a protest last year. The protest was won, but it was more of just having an explanation where a legal formation or legal snap can occur. And the answer is inside the hash, from hash to hash. So if no hash is on the field, you want to get the officials to designate where the hashes are, right? And great point, Aaron. Goalposts, depending on what they are, what kind of field, the hashes on the goalpost in some cases be almost like an NFL hash. So we want to be close to a federation hash, which is roughly 15 to 16 yards from the sideline. If you look at the goalposts in the NFL, I think they're about 19 feet. That's almost in the middle of the field, just 4 or 5 yards to the right or left. And I don't think that's where we want to be with hashes. But we want to be closer to federation, like high school fields, where the hashes are 15. Tim Jacobs probably be able to answer this better than me, but it's about 15, 16 yards from the sideline. Just have the discussion, guys. Just, hey, we got a formation. We go close to the sideline as possible. How far you allow us to go? They may point out an object and saying these are considered the hash, and you guys should take advantage of whatever available space they give you. All right.
Good deal. Mr. Foster, let me ask you a question. And unfortunately, you've
Yes,
answered
sir.
this question. I've heard you answer this question about 40 times in the years that I've known you. But I'm going to ask it again
Well,
because this
answer it for yourself
continues to
now.
be a problem throughout all the
Right.
different leagues and how the officials and players interpret the rule. So let's talk about bodying up, coming up with the flag when they get tackled or when they go down to the ground. Let's talk about that contact on a flag pool, please.
Right. Okay. So you hear the rule. Let's just remove bodying up out. Bodying up is it's a mentality, right? So in my mind, bodying up as a mentality, nothing wrong with it. Let's make that synonymous with a legal defending position, a legal deflagging position. First and foremost, your body should be upright. So leading with your head or leading with your shoulder or leading with your elbow, I don't consider that a legal deflagging position. I consider you making a stance. You're shooting both hands towards the hip for the flag. And in that manner, where you take a step to stall the ball carrier or to finish the deflag, it is contact in most cases. Whether you come up with the flag or not has nothing to do with you being legal as you're making an attempt. So an example was, Norm, if you making a legal attempt on me, your body's erect, you're shooting your hands, and I just happen to fall down with both my flags on, that does not denote a penalty as I just stated. You leading with your shoulder forward first, then your hands come later or your head, then that could be considered a flag, depending on the manner of contact, or if you got a decisive advantage by making said contact without a legal position. So just because you come up with the flag does not mean it's legal. And just because you don't come up with the flag doesn't mean it's illegal. What matters is you're in a legal flagging position, your hands first and more likely your body upright, and that will be what we're looking for a point of emphasis. We all know in the nationals, particularly 9-man and some of the top level of the 8-man contact, and even the women, as great as they are, we know there'll be a little more contact allowed, and we're looking for that little more contact to be in a legal position. The extra two-piece, or you're shooting your hands, then your shoulder, then your elbow, all of that extra stuff. We're hoping that we get that away from the game, and there's enough competitiveness involved and contact doing it legally. So
Right.
I just want you guys to know that me personally, I call like I play. So long as you're not hitting someone in the head or cutting their legs underneath, and you don't throw an elbow or whatever, I'm more than likely going to let it play. And I think a lot of officials are the same way. So I'm hoping that with that being said, everyone just looks to get themselves in a legal deflagging position. So you'll hear, even after saying this, people, well, I came up with the flag. I came up with the flag. Means nothing if you were illegal by doing so. Right?
Right. So we had a question from Rhonda Turner, Lady Elite out in DC. She wants to know is, can you jump to avoid a flag pool? And she asked the question very directly, so we can give a direct answer for that.
Right. Well, let's talk about where we are, okay? Let's talk about the quarterback, because this can be very subjective. The first question is, Norm, can the quarterback jump and throw the ball?
The answer is yes.
Okay. What if the quarterback was under duress and jumped and threw the ball? Meaning there was a defender close by. All right. It becomes judgment at that point. Do you feel the quarterback was jumping to avoid the flag pool, or were they doing a regular jump throw to gain advantage to throw over the line or whatever? Right. That's subjective. So that's judgment. We look for that crew to make a decision on what they believe the reason the quarterback was jumping. But as a ball carrier, no matter where you are, okay, no matter where you are, you cannot jump, period. And that's still subjective. So what we've done in 9-man, we list jumping as a vertical elevation from the ground, meaning jumping straight up. Some of the jump cuts and football moves or whatever, they're so close it can be called inconsistently. So I talk about vertical jumps as avoiding the flagpole, and then whether it's a football move by some refs' opinion or not, you want to get an explanation from that ref. They may have it as a football move, and I'm talking about jump cuts, spinning, galloping, whatever the case may be. and then you'll look for that officiating crew to be consistent. That may change from field to
What's your
field,
next crew?
but what they should tell you is
Right.
explain to you what they have as that penalty or non-penalty, and you should look for them to be consistent throughout that game per crew. But by rule, you cannot jump to avoid a flag. That is enforced, Ms. Jones, just like flag guarding.
Exactly. All right. Now, Aaron asked a question. I'm not sure if it's a question, though. He said, what about the initiation of contact? See that allowed. So I'm not sure in which position we're talking about, Aaron, here for initiating contact.
So, yeah, we'll go to another one. Hopefully, Mr. Askew clear that up for us and we can answer that. I think I know, but I don't want to guess at it. Are there any more questions that we can?
Well, I'm going to get Aaron to type
And
it in real
I
quick.
did.
That's going to be the last question. We're going to get ready to end the show. Can you jump to throw the ball? That's what we just answered, Terrence. You might have just joined in, but he just answered that. Aaron, if you can jump in and throw that question in there, because we're going to end the show. We're coming up on an hour, and I only do a 20-minute show. But I did think that this is very important to be able to discuss the rules with the director of the rules. So thanks everybody for hanging in there, and I hope you got something out of the show. And I hope that you everything is a judgment call, because somebody said everything is a judgment call. Whatnot. Everything is a judgment call. Consistency and great explanations are what we as consumers expect. Will the experience of officials be based on level of play? So that's a good question. So you're basically saying, will the C division get the sorry officials, and will the A division get the best officials? That's what I read that to say, Jesse Bell. And the answer is no.
Well, let's answer it. Mr. Bell, how you doing? Hall of Famer. But we do the best we can to try to find the most experienced official, but also not just experience in officiating, but crews that we can believe that can manage the game, some of the high-profile game. It is not high-profile by style. It's high-profile sometimes by matchup, history, etc. Yeah.
Right.
So it don't have to be A. It can be a D game. It can be.
They need to understand. Right. Now, first of all, everybody needs to understand all of the best officials at Nationals are going to be on the women's fields first, and then the rest of the teams will get the rest. So we're putting all the best officials on the women's games first. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Well, I had to put that out there. All right. So look here, Zeric,
I don't blame you.
We're going to go ahead and wrap this up.
Okay.
We're going to go ahead and wrap this up. I appreciate you taking the time out to talk about the rules of the game with everybody that's viewing. Hey, I appreciate all you viewers that came in to check out what we're talking about. Make sure all of you guys download the app, the Women's Flag Football Network app. I'll be doing my best to communicate through the app during the tournament. Right now, it's updated. The first icon in the app says USFTL. Click on that, and you'll start to see the menus populate for everything going on in Nationals. I'm about to click a button. It's going to have all the teams in there and everything. And Tamika, since you're going to be home, you'll be able to keep up to what's going on by using the app like I already know you do. All right. So, hey, everybody, thanks for joining in.
Norm, wait. Norm, wait. Norm,
go ahead.
Can you add an Ask the Ref on your Women's Flag Football Facebook, Instagram, and also your personal page so we can continue dialogue, get clarity for the teams leading up to the Nationals. So I just want to keep this going. I want to get their input and make the proper adjustments for as much as we can. Can you do that?
We will do that. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link on my page that will take you to my website that allow you to put in any questions that you have, and I can put it together on a spreadsheet, pass it on to Zeric, and we make sure we get some answers to that and create some sort of FAQ that we can put in the app, as well as answer your questions to whoever asked them. So good deal. We will do that, Mr. Foster.
All right. Thank you. All right.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for joining. I'm Norman Carter, CEO and founder of the Women's Flag Football Network. Thanks for joining in on the show. We'll see you next week, Wednesday night at 8:30. You guys have a Merry Christmas. We won't be on again before Christmas, so you have a Merry Christmas. Do you want to continue to see what's going on with the Women's Flag Football Network and keep up with women's flag football all around the world? Hit the subscribe button right here, somewhere. Hit the subscribe button and like our videos.